Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
If the players are lined up to get their money, if the queue starts in Dallas, who should get their money first? Quarterback Dak Prescott or running back Ezekiel Elliott? A simple truth, an uncomfortable truth. A harsh reality is that the best player, perhaps the most important player, probably the best player at his position, Ezekiel Elliott, is the lowest of priorities. It's Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and on ESPN News. Will Cain, back from vacation, filling in for the man who is on vacation, filling in for Stephen A. Smith today. You can normally catch me 1 to 3 or 3 to 6 Eastern when I'm not here 1 to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and on ESPN News. Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper. The Dallas Cowboys have some players to pay. And the man who's the best of them all finds himself the lowest on the totem pole. Who should you pay first? Who would you hand out money to first? Dak Prescott or Ezekiel Elliott? Give me a call, 888-729-3776, and I give you Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. The Dallas Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott seem to be going in opposite directions. The Cowboys don't want to hand out market-setting money. They want to be generous, and reports are that they are willing to give not just Ezekiel Elliott, but Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott top 5 money for their position in the NFL. Generous is the way Stephen Jones describes their contract offers to those 3 skill position players. But they don't want to set the market. They do not want to give Ezekiel Elliott Todd Gurley money. They don't want to give him $45 million guaranteed, $15 million a year, according to most reports. They want to move in the direction of Le'Veon Bell, who most recently got about $13 million a year on average. That is not market setting, and it appears to be also not enough to get Ezekiel Elliott back with a star on his helmet, back practicing at training camp, at least according to our own ESPN NFL insider Josina Anderson, who says Zeke might be ready to sit for a long time. Listen.
I asked a source close to the situation within the hour, 1, did you hear those Dickerson comments? What are your thoughts, and is it true? The source said back to me, yes, it is true. Ezekiel Elliott will not play this season if he does not have a new contract. And matter of fact, added that he told the Cowboys this back in January. So then I asked the source, but is it likely, though? I think that's the more apropos question. And he said, no, I don't think it's likely from the standpoint that Jerry Jones, we believe, wants to get this deal done. And he understands that out of Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott, that there's only one player who's actually the top at his position, and that is Ezekiel Elliott.
It is Ezekiel Elliott who's the top player at his position. It is Ezekiel Elliott who is the best player among the 3 Dallas Cowboys skill position players waiting to get paid. And it is Ezekiel Elliott who is the most important player to the Cowboys' short-term, immediate success. But it is also Ezekiel Elliott who is the lowest of priorities. It's Elliott who's low man on the totem pole. It's Prescott that should get paid first. And here's why. Because Ezekiel Elliott has very little leverage. Ezekiel Elliott has very little to hold against the Cowboys. And Ezekiel Elliott is getting awful advice if he thinks sitting out this season is the right way to go about getting paid. Speaking of Le'Veon Bell, he tweeted in response to Zeke's contract demands, they got to pay up, period. And then a set of clapping hands. If Le'Veon Bell is your model, if Le'Veon Bell is your advisor, or if Le'Veon Bell is your cheerleader, you're headed down the wrong path. Don't get advice from Le'Veon Bell. Take lessons from Le'Veon Bell. He, without a doubt, flatly made less money because he held out than had he signed up with the Pittsburgh Steelers on the offer they were making to him at the time. Le'Veon Bell lost money, and that's a fact. That's not an opinion. You know, we find ourselves today in a place where player support, player apologism in the media is so extreme that a player can never do wrong. A player cuts off his nose to spite his face, and you got plenty of people with microphones going, well, I don't know. I kind of think it's a better look. It's stupid. People sitting around going, get your money, Le'Veon, get your money. He got less money. It's like all we want to do is stick it to the man. And sticking it to the man means sticking it to ourselves if we have to. Ezekiel Elliott, like Le'Veon Bell, is going to end up losing money if he follows this path. Losing money if he tries to stick it to the man. Don't tell me that Le'Veon Bell avoided injury and got himself to the market. Don't tell me that he wanted to play somewhere else besides Pittsburgh. Don't tell me that Le'Veon Bell had some other motivations than to make as much as possible. And the guarantees he got from the one team in the free agent market, the New York Jets, the guarantee that he got from the one team that would pay him were less than had he gone out and played through the franchise tag and reached free agency. And however bad that decision was by Le'Veon Bell, and no matter how many backslaps and high five and cheerleading and apologies in the media were given to Le'Veon Bell, Zeke's decision to sit out would only be worse. If it's possible to outflank Le'Veon Bell in bad business decisions, if it's possible to outflank Le'Veon Bell in cutting off your nose to spite your face, Zeke would be doing it. And here's why. Ezekiel Elliott has 2 years left on his contract. If he doesn't show up to play, he doesn't in an accrued season in the NFL, meaning it further pushes off his free agency. On top of that, the Dallas Cowboys can control him through the franchise tag through 2 more years. Bell was at least on the verge of free agency. Bell only had to sit 1 year to reach the supposed pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Ezekiel Elliott is looking at multiple years where at some point he's going to have to at least play 6 games. If not this year, then in 2020, he's going to have to start showing up to get accrued seasons. And at the end of all of that, he could possibly be 3 years from now a running back who's played a total of something like 18 games, a running back who's had a history of off-the-field troubles, who's 1 strike away from a serious punishment in the NFL, if not a banishment. A running back who would be 27, 28 years old, asking to get paid like the best running back in the league. That's what Zeke would be sacrificing. Those years of prime earning, those years of prime statistical achievement, those years of prime physical ability to stick it to the man. Now, he has some leverage. He's not without leverage. But all he really has is talent and need. Meaning all he really has is telling the Dallas Cowboys, I'm so important to you. I'm so good. I'm so much better than Tony Pollard or Alfred Morris or whoever else you bring in. And make no mistake, he is that much better. And you need me so badly to win the Super Bowl, to compete for the Super Bowl. Your offense is geared around me. And he is that important, and the offense is geared around him. But talent and need do not carry the leverage that simply sitting by the Dallas Cowboys decision, not yours, does. If Ezekiel Elliott sits out 3 years, he will be giving away the prime of his career. He does not have 1 year to give away. He has 3 years to sit and try to impress upon the Cowboys. They need to pay him. Zeke doesn't have it. He doesn't have the leverage. And whoever's giving him this advice is giving him horrendous advice. And that's Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart. It's Will Cain filling in for Stephen A. today here on ESPN Radio. Speaking of getting bad advice, the NCAA wants to do something about that. The NCAA wants to try to protect players from bad advice. But before I get to that, let me hit up the phone lines where I want to talk to Rocky in Dallas. What's up, Rocky? You're on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Cain.
Hey, good afternoon, Will. I want to tell you thank you. You're doing a hell of a job. First of all, I have to tell you, Will, first and foremost, I think the problem being is not so much even the Cowboys not wanting to pay. I think it's with the other owners and the other collusion that they've had to try to keep the running back pay at a certain minimum. That is very important for Ezekiel to stand his ground on this one. I think, once again, the salaries for the running backs have to come up. They can't keep a low ball in these running backs because of the short span of their career. And I also believe that once they look at this, they will pay Ezekiel, hopefully, and they'll do the $75 million and give him something to spread out. And I also think if they don't, they can't guarantee that the wide receiver is going to be forgiven that state because he's young. He'll have offers everywhere. So I think the wide receivers representatives are looking at this as well. What do you think?
All right, I appreciate the call, man. I think that you are wrong. I don't think there's any collusion. I don't think that there is any kind of conspiracy. I don't think the owners are doing anything to the running back position besides following the incentive, besides following the market, besides making what is right for them. Did you ever watch Seinfeld? There was a fascinating revelation in Seinfeld over time. Of course, you know the show about nothing that dominated television ratings throughout the 90s with Jerry Seinfeld. And one of the characters on Seinfeld was a guy named Kramer, right? The weird next-door neighbor, Kramer, who never seemed to work and always seemed to be around in his apartment. Kramer, no one could figure out what he was, what he was doing, what his motivation was, and how he made a living. Well, as time went on, and the series went on, and seasons went on, it was revealed that Kramer at one time worked at H&H Bagel, which was a bagel shop on the Upper West Side, a long-time institution on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. They went out of business about 10 years ago. But Kramer never really was at H&H, so what was the deal? It turned out that he was on strike at H&H. He was sticking it to the man. He was on strike at H&H through all of those seasons, and you never knew it. Kramer didn't have any leverage to go on strike. There was no collusion or conspiracy against Kramer. He worked at H&H. How much power did he have to actually negotiate for something more? There's nothing being conspired against running backs in the NFL. The NFL owners and the market suggest that that's a replaceable position, that you can get some semblance of the value, some percentage of the value, some replacement level value at a reduced cost. Man, I don't know what profession to pick. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's a lot of waiters, right? There's a lot of waiters in the world. Nothing against waiters. They do a great job and they're important to our society, and some of them are better than the others. And if one of the best waiters in the world went on strike because he's like, I must get higher pay, do you really think that he's going to be able to prove there was some kind of conspiracy against him? Do you think his strike or his holdout is going to work to get him higher pay? He may be the best waiter at the restaurant. Hell, he may be the best waiter in the neighborhood. But how much power does he have? Because they're going to replace him. That's what's going on with running back. Not a conspiracy, a market reset for Ezekiel Elliott. That's what's happening. Will Cain filling in for Stephen A. here on ESPN Radio. I asked you, pay Zeke or pay Dak? Which is the highest priority? Robert in Manhattan. What's up, Robert? You're on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Cain.
Yeah, I absolutely think that the Cowboys should pay Dak Prescott first and even Amari Cooper before Zeke, basically because the running back position is dead in the NFL. And the Cowboys have replaced running backs before. You can even look at DeMarco Murray. Everybody was calling DeMarco Murray the workhorse back, an essential part of the Cowboys team. And then the moment he moves on to Philadelphia, his body breaks down. He's not as he doesn't have the worth he had before. So I think the only value of a running back in the NFL is youth and durability. Mm-hmm. And, Super Bowl teams, they typically have one of these two archetypes in their running system. It's either a committee of cheaper running backs or it's one rookie running back, star rookie running back, but on a rookie contract. And I think the Cowboys have to offer one of those two.
All right, Robert says pay Dak. And on the other side of the equation, Darius in Chicago says pay Zeke. What's up, Darius?
Got to pay Zeke, man. I do understand why Le'Veon is siding with him here. He was going into the franchise tag. He didn't know what was going to happen that current season, so he had to sit out. I understand his case, Zeke here, I thought this league was a what have you done for me lately. And he's been the back for them lately. He's been the workhorse for them. He needs to be rewarded. Brady just got an extension, and his numbers hasn't been there the last couple of years.
All right, man. Unfortunately, I appreciate the call, Darius. I'm going to side with Robert in Manhattan over Darius in Chicago. You paid Dak. Talk about what have you done for me lately. Dak Prescott is more underpaid than Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott's a better running back than Dak Prescott is a quarterback, and Dak Prescott is a bigger underpaid asset than Zeke Elliott is. But the world doesn't work that way anyway. It doesn't work about what you're deserving of. It doesn't even work really about what have you done for me lately. It works according to leverage. And unfortunately for Ezekiel Elliott, he has so very little. If he's getting advice from somebody out there, an agent, a friend, or Le'Veon Bell, that suggests that he has some kind of leverage to sit out for 2-3 years to get paid what he thinks he should be paid, he is getting bad advice. And I'm not the only one who sees it. Emmanuel Acho, ESPN's NFL football analyst, said so on Get Up as well. Listen.
Ezekiel Elliott will give the Cowboys 2 more wins than they otherwise would have garnered. They're either going 7-9 without Zeke. With Zeke, you're looking at 9-7. I just don't know that it's that big a difference. If I'm Jerry Jones, call Zeke's bluff. You saying you're going to sit out all season? All season, RC? I'm not buying it. I'm calling his bluff if I'm Jerry Jones.
And in fact, it'll take 2 to 3 seasons. The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. Will Cain filling in for Stephen A. You can normally catch me 3 to 6 Eastern, all the same television and radio channels. So Zeke could be getting bad advice, and the NCAA is going to try to protect its college basketball players from getting bad advice. According to reports, the NCAA is passing some new rules that certify agents capable of talking to underclassmen who are considering going into the NBA draft. If the player is already well decided that he is going into the NBA draft, he can get an NBA Players Association certified agent and move on about his life. He can hire Rich Paul and move on about his life. But if he's testing the waters and he wants to see what his draft stock may be, if he wants to talk to an agent but possibly return to college, he's going to have to get an NCAA certified agent. And in order to do that, the NCAA is going to require something like 7 years of address history, 3 years as certified of being an NBA Players Association agent, and a college degree. College degree is something that Rich Paul, LeBron James agent, the agent who is attracting star client after star client in the NBA like Anthony Davis and others, doesn't have. Rich Paul does not have a bachelor's degree, does not have a college degree, and many are calling this the Rich Paul rule, a way for the NCAA to check, to push back on the power that Rich Paul is accumulating in the world of basketball. That's what LeBron James thinks. LeBron James tweeted out, "Stay woke," and attached pictures of many of the new NCAA rules and articles describing Rich Paul. He has called it, in fact, the Rich Paul rule, did LeBron James. Now, I've had some, what I think are fair criticisms of LeBron James and Rich Paul over time, but let me tell you what the NCAA right here is doing is absolute garbage. This is a way to control players' futures, players' access to information, players hiring who they may want, and it's a way to control who the labor force of agents are out there who can interact with NCAA players. And the NCAA would admit it. They would say so as well. The NCAA would say this is a way to protect players from predatory agents, family members, unqualified friends, whoever it may be that wants to swoop in on somebody's bright future and get a cut, lead them in bad directions, give them bad advice, and take a nice 5 to 10% along the way. This is a way to protect players, is what the NCAA would tell you. But this is a way to protect themselves. Every single rule that puts limitations, barriers, fences up around labor is designed to protect somebody. And ask yourself who it is. I always find it fascinating. Licensing. Licensing is absolutely out of control. Every time you turn around, there's some new profession that requires a license. For those of you who listen to the Will Cain show and gotten to know me from First Take or other places, know I'm an attorney, which means I've passed some kind of licensing. I took the bar exam in Texas, right? Because they required me to be a lawyer. So I don't give bad advice to other people out there. Hell, I give bad advice to all of you listening all the time, right? Half of you calling would think that. Maybe we should license radio hosts. And not just radio hosts, how about barbers? Barbers need licensing as well because, of course, a bad haircut is one hell of a damage to inflict upon somebody. And I'm not being facetious. There are licenses required for beauticians and barbers and anything else. You name a profession and you can find a license. But why they have to be licensed? Is it to protect you or me? No. It's to protect the existing barbers and beauticians and lawyers. It's a way to protect those already inside the profession from competition, from somebody else coming in, making it harder to get a job. Look, more people doing it means it's harder to get the job. Let's do something, can we? How can we keep these new people from coming in, These whippersnappers, these young people, these go-getters, these upstarts. What can we do? I know. Let's require a new rule, a license, a college degree. Let's require something to keep the competition out. And we'll call it a way to protect the customer. Protect the person that should be making the choice anyway. Protect the player. Now, this idea, this rule that the NCAA is putting in, this right here is to protect themselves. It's ugly. Dan Wetzel at Yahoo wrote a column saying, why didn't this exist in hockey? Why just basketball? This right here is the NCAA getting in the way of itself. You got to let people make mistakes. You got to allow people to make bad decisions. A college degree does not protect someone from those who have bad ethics. It doesn't ensure honest advice. It doesn't ensure that something is going to go well. A college degree does not ensure that you get a good agent. It just ensures that the ones that are already certified have a better chance of getting a client. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. You can't protect people from bad decisions. You can't protect them from bad advice. And I think Ezekiel Elliott is absolutely getting bad advice. He doesn't have the leverage. He doesn't have the priority. Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott do. Who do you pay first? Who's first in line for the Dallas Cowboys? You pay Dak, and then Amari, and then the best player among them, Ezekiel Elliott. You can let me know what you think. 888-729-3776. It's Will Cain filling in for Stephen A. on ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. There is somebody who says, absolutely, Amari Cooper is more important to Dak Prescott than is Ezekiel Elliott. I disagree with that. I think Zeke has the least leverage, but the most importance. Let me debate that guy. Next, on the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. Hey, do you have frequent heartburn? Like the kind where you have antacid stashed everywhere in case it pops up? You know what I mean. You keep some in your bag or your desk or your car or your nightstand. You have those chalky tablets ready for whenever and wherever heartburn strikes. Well, listen up. There's an easier way to deal with heartburn. Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day will last a full 24 hours with zero heartburn. Kick your antacid habit. It's possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn.